One, two, three.
Welcome to Scéalta. Scéalta is a joint production of Fáilte Fierce to Hear and Phobail and Phobail. And can I thank RSG Connolly, the Connolly Centre, for facilitating our programming, and I want to thank them very much. Over this last number of years, it's become a fashion, and for some, it's become an obsession. That everything that goes wrong in our society is blamed on young people. Young people are responsible for joyriding, they're responsible for the drug trade, they're responsible for the street fights, they're responsible for vandalism. Now, anybody with any sense knows that's not true. And as if I need to prove it's not true, I want to prove it's not true. And my guest for this programme is Conor Loughlin, who has become, I was going to say infamous, but famous is maybe a better word, over this last while. And he epitomises for me everything that's good about working class young people, people trying to achieve what they were told they couldn't, and people doing what they probably were told they shouldn't. So, Conor, welcome to Scéalta, and thank you for coming along.
Absolutely, I'm so glad to be here, and I'm here and I'm going to talk about my journey, and obviously it's going to be a great podcast.
Well, let's go to the start of your journey. So, does the journey begin with lockdown a few years back, or does it begin before that?
It began really before that. It must have been about 5 or so years ago. Be honest with you, I literally was on the brew. I was literally just sitting in my room, literally just doing nothing. I had no motivation, I had no goals, I had nothing like going for me, and I was just sitting doing nothing. And I wasn't really on social media much. I wasn't being with friends. I was just doing nothing, and I was going, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of this rut? And I actually came across like a social media post that was from like a youth program with Springboard, and they were like, young people between 16 to 24. Like, this program is for people who lack motivation. And I was like, what? I was sort of like looking through the thing, and I kept wanting the message, and I didn't have the confidence. I was like almost afraid. Like, every time I was going to message, it was like, oh, don't. Like, and then eventually, what, you know what? I'm sick of doing where I'm at. I'm not happy. I'm going to make a change. So I messaged the page, and within like an hour, that somebody got back and says, Connor, absolutely loved the message. Like, can we meet up? And I just didn't want to go down to the office. I was so scared. So they started off with like a phone call. So the phone call was like, hi, my name's blah blah blah. I'm from Springboard.
I want to stop you because I'm just watching your eyes as you tell this story, and it's obviously so important. But I should say, for people that wouldn't maybe know you or know your face, you come from an area in Belfast which is called Clonard.
Yeah.
It's an area of massive deprivation. It's an area where there's all the social needs that are required. There's job requirements, there's housing requirements, there's education requirements. And it's against that background that you were nearly locked in your room. Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
What were you frightened of? Failure, or were you frightened of?
I was lots of things. I was frightened of being judged. I was frightened of maybe not feeling good enough, and yes, not actually being successful. Failing was a big thing, and I already felt like a failure. So, and yes, I was locked in my room, but yes, I had my family, and my family did try their best. Like, they really were helpful, and they were trying to motivate me, but I just didn't feel like a part of the community. I didn't feel like I was a part of something, and that's what maybe I lacked, was feeling a part of something. And that could have been a part of a group, it could have been a part of a friendship, anything. I just didn't feel a part of nothing, and that wasn't the community's fault. That was my fault, because I never went out and never done much. So that's why I decided to do the program.
But let's take fault out.
Yeah.
Let's take the word fault out, and let's say that was your reality. Because I don't think it was your fault. I think fault is perhaps too strong of a word. But, it must have been, you're 25 now, so we're talking about you're 23, 22. You're a young man who, in many ways, before his life has even started, it's over, you're locked in a room.
Yeah, honestly, like, I actually didn't see no way forward. Like, just going, like, what am I doing here? And I just didn't feel like I had a future. Like, I had a future that was going to be good. Like, just my head was just constantly negative. it was always negative things like I'm not good enough. All the things that I knew I shouldn't be saying, whereas going, I am good enough, I am strong, I'm not weak, I can do this. Things like that there, I think would have helped me, but it was always quite negative. And that's where getting involved in a youth programme absolutely changed my life, and I mean that. Even to this day, anyone asks me why I got involved in youth work, I always tell them the same answer. I got involved in this programme, and these are all the things that have done for me. Give me confidence. It changed my social anxiety. So when I was locked in a room, I was no longer locked in a room. I was in a big hall with 20 different people, and that there was the pillar where I started and how I grew to where I am now. And I think young people that are feeling, quite claustrophobic, or they're not feeling like they're stuck in the house not doing anything, reach out. And that's what I done. And it was hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot, as I said to you, it took me a few days to not messaging the messaging, it's getting to that point is going, I need to change or I need to do something. And it has to be the person to make that change.
You come from a loving family.
Absolutely.
And they're down about you. I met someone today and I said I was going to be speaking to you, a woman called Brone Armstrong.
Right.
And she said, he inspires me. He inspires me. And this is a woman who is a married woman with children. And she was referring to your weight loss, and we'll talk a wee bit about that. So, for some people it will be a strange journey to understand that you have a loving family, you have a family that care about you, you have a family that would do anything for you. But in your own head, something is telling you, I'm not good enough. I even before you begin the journey which you're now on, you're telling yourself, I can't do it. Was school difficult for you? Secondary school, say, for instance?
Yeah, very difficult.
Tell me why.
I would say I went to Christian Builders.
Yeah.
I went to Christian Builders School and I thought the teachers brilliant. But I did have a difficult experience in terms of the groups I was in. I was always quite, chubby, heavy, like throughout my youth, younger youth.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So school was difficult, and I did face a couple of wee incidents that maybe knocked my confidence.
Were you bullied in school?
Yes. The school did in situations still deal with it, but it did knock me my confidence. And the more it happened, the gradually and more realised when I got older, it actually did affect me. But I never maybe showed it. I never really opened up to my parent or like my mummy or my granny, and I never really said, I was bullied today. And I think that really contributed to maybe why my confidence was so low, because I never really seen it as a problem until maybe when I was maybe later teenager coming into my 19 turning 20, and I'm start going, why do I feel so negative? It was maybe that experience, constantly being called names and being bullied and picked on. It really did have an impact on my confidence.
Someone told me, again, this is part of the research we would do if we were asking or speaking to anyone, and I'm not going to tell you who told me, so don't even go down that road. But they told me that there was nearly two Conors. There was Conor, who was bubbly and had a joke and had an answer for everything, and was kind of could hold a conversation that was funny. And then there was Conor, who was lonely. Is that fair? Is that a fair thing to say?
I would say it's a very fair statement. I always knew there was something good about me. There was always something that I could give back to my community or to people. Like there was always something, like I know I'm skilled, I know I'm a good person, I have a kind heart, but it was just how I get to that journey and how I go through that journey, and it was difficult to try and go through that road. It was up and down, it wasn't always positive. It took me a very long time to get to where I am now, because that happened when I was 18, 19, I'm 25, and I'm still on that journey. I haven't left that journey yet, so that just shows you how long my journey has been.
Well, let me tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody else. It'll always be a journey. That's what life is. Life is a journey. Let me take you back. So you make the phone call.
Yeah.
You still haven't got that wee bit of confidence that you require, but you make the phone call. Was it with relief? Was it worse than it had been? Was it more anxiety or less anxiety once you make the call?
I would say during the call, my anxiety was really like flowing. My heartbeat was, I could feel like really nervous. But when the call finished, I felt I made that step.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big step.
Absolutely.
It wasn't. I felt like very small baby steps, and I made that leap, and I was like, right. They've said to me that they're gonna help me. They're gonna put me in a program that's suited for me, and I felt valued. I felt somebody was going, Conor is valued, and we're gonna put him.
Conor is a person.
I felt like someone was actually treating me how I wanted to be treated, and I feel like that's a good ethic of youth workers, of how skilled they are, and how they value, and they're always thinking about that individual. And I think that's what maybe it made me feel like I actually can't wait to start. And I never ever really get excited about many things, but when they were like, yeah, come down for a meeting, I was hesitant. I was like, let me think about coming down next week to the office and give me a call and I'll think about it. And that whole weekend, because this was on a Friday, and I was sitting all weekend going, oh, what I do, come on Conor, come on, you can do this. And they rang Monday morning and I says, right, I'm going to come down Tuesday. And I turned up Tuesday and I stood outside the office and I didn't want to open the door, no, I stood out there, and then the person rang me and they were like, where are you? And I said, I'm outside. I was like, well, come in. And I was like, I'm nervous, you know, and then they came out and they brought me through the office. And that first time I sat down, that was it.
Let me tell you another secret. As you're up the stairs over that weekend going, will I, won't I, should I, what a mistake, wasn't a mistake, it was the right thing. And what you described as a baby step was a giant step, as we now know.
Yeah.
Okay. Your mother was downstairs going, he won't go, he's not going to go, he's not going to go, he isn't going to go, oh he will go, maybe he won't go, maybe he will go. And obviously she's delighted that you did go. So you go in for the interview, and did they put you at ease? Did they answer some of the questions that you had in your own head?
They did actually. They were asking me these small questions. Well, Conor, tell us a bit about yourself, and it was more very informal, and it didn't feel like it was like an interview. I felt like it was just a conversation, and someone giving me their time. I felt valued, as I say it, and they were just asking me like wee things like, where are you from, about yourself, and I was just telling them little bits. Now I didn't fully tell them fully how I was feeling and what issues I had throughout my teenage, but I felt like I was saying enough. I was giving them enough to work with, because youth workers need something to work with when they're working with somebody. They need to know a bit about them, and they know what maybe program suits them. So the conversation was just a bit about that, and they were like, right, we're going to come in. I'd done a few mentoring sessions before they brought me into a group. So them mentoring sessions gradually built me up. Then I was starting to open up a wee bit more, and I was telling them about, you know, I've been sitting in the room doing nothing. You know, I've been on benefits and I didn't feel. I felt that thing of people being on benefits, people have a very negative perception of it, and so did I. I felt bad. I felt like, you know, I didn't want to take, I didn't want to do that. That was my last resort. I didn't want to go to benefits, but no other, because my confidence was ruined. I couldn't work in social situations, couldn't work in a job. I didn't have the confidence, or so. That's where they said, well, Conor, listen, you're definitely capable of doing these programs. From what you've told us, like, we fully believe in you. And when they said that, it sort of made me like emotional. Like, they believe in me. Like, they really they want me to do well here.
Was this the first time, effectively, I'd say to your family members and neighbours, that you had told anyone how you really felt and how, what was going on in your head?
Yeah, to be honest with you, like my especially my mum and my granny, they were always there. They always were there. Like, I will never ever take that away from them. It was just at that stage of my life, I didn't have maybe that kind of connection or relationship with them. I didn't want to put them under pressure and maybe make them feel like we're not good enough, we're not doing a good job for him. They really were. It was just I didn't want them feeling like they weren't doing enough, because they were really pushing me, and I felt like they also contribute, especially my mummy and my granny together. You know, I knew they were always talking on the phone going, right, Conor, he's not doing very good. They always were trying to communicate with each other, and my granny was very good at giving my mummy advice of, this is maybe what you do with him, you know, try and push him a little bit, but don't push him too much, you know. And I felt like my mummy was, she was very reservant when she wanted to push me, because she knew sometimes I get annoyed and go, Mummy, you know, I don't want to do it, please, you know, but she knew little bits, she knew when to push me, and when she heard about this programme, I could see the, like, not emotional, but I could see that she knew something good was happening.
The relief
The relief.
is unbelievable, and I know that from talking to people. I want to just say something or ask you something, and I don't mean it to be upsetting.
Of course.
I don't mean it to hurt your feelings, but you know, you talk about that period of your life where you effectively were locked in your room by yourself and by your phobias and all of that. But there was no peace, because I mean, even when you went out, I know on occasions people who think, I don't know why they think they're smart or they think they're clever, like shouting abuse at you and all of that. I mean, how hurtful is that?
Very hurtful, like, especially at that time, when I was going to programmes, that's when it was probably at my heaviest.
You're 25 stone.
It was over 25 stone. I think it worked out like over £352. Like, it was very upsetting for me, and it was very hard hitting, because I didn't really know how maybe deep down in this rut I was until I got on the scales. But there was times, especially throughout that journey, that when I was walking down the straight around the road, people shouting at cars and all, shouting fatso and all this, and at that time, yes, it wasn't great for my confidence, but that in my head I was going, don't listen to them, do not listen to them.
Good for you.
I knew I was the better person, and I had to stand tall, I had to stand up for myself, and I feel like maybe pushing back on that and going, oh, I hate you, I hate that. I didn't hate the people for shitting.
I would have, I have to tell you, I would have.
Yeah, and I never hate anybody for shitting. If they want to do that, let them. I never hated anyone for doing it, because if anything, they push me. If anything, I can go to them, you actually pushed me, you actually done a good job for me, because you pushed me even further. You pushed me even further to go, do you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I bet you next year or the year after, there will be a time where you go out and shout out the window, and I'm not that anymore, and you're going, no, I'm not going to shout out. That is what motivated me.
Just let me say this, just for the record, you never were that. That's not what, it may have been what you had done, but it wasn't what you were, so just for the record. But I want to keep moving you forward, if you don't mind. You've done the interview, you've got the beginnings of a programme, your mother has got a wee bit of relief, she's telling the granny, the Jungle Telegraph, oh, he's wonderful now, yeah. So, you start the programme, so can you remember the first event or the first occasion you went to meet other people, apart from the interview?
Yeah, so the last meeting we had, they actually said, right, Conor, there's a new programme starting, and they said, right, this programme is for people. They understood when I was talking about all the music and how much I love being creative and all these things. The girl, the youth worker, she was like, this programme, I think is going to suit you, and she gave me a whole, thing about programme information, and she was like, right, so this programme is going to start next week, and we're going to bring these in, just to meet each other. And I was so nervous, because like, I don't know the group, they don't know me. I was going shaking and going, who is it? Like, she was like, I'm not telling you anything, come in. And I said, right. So I come in on the next week, and there was like a whole group of like 20 people. Now the dynamic of the group was crazy. Like, I mean,
tell me how crazy it was.
Like, you had people like shouting, not like shouting, but like the energy in the room was quite positive, like quite energetic, and I wasn't used to it, and I was going, what is going on here? There's some, like, I was at that time I was going, some headbangers in this room. But then it was them headbangers that actually, it changed my perception of them people. Like, people always have a perception that, oh, headbangers are this and they're that, and oh, they're out of jail or they're doing things in the street. These people were actually people. They were individuals, and I was meeting them. There was a few that I struck to straight away.
Yeah.
And they knew me already. Like, oh, you're that DJ. I know you. Like, I was going, yeah, that's me. Like, people were starting to show a bit of interest in me, and that's what maybe pushed me even further. Going, well, people are actually like talking to me. They're actually giving me their time to talk, and we're sharing similar interests and hobbies. And that's what made, and then the youth worker knew straight away, he's blended in so much. And what actually happened was, it turned from me being in the group to me being the mentor of the group, me being like the one that everyone went to. And I don't know why. At this day,
I know why.
People always went to me for help, or like, Conor, blah blah blah. they always went to me in a sense before the youth workers, and I knew at the time the youth workers seen this, and I was going struck by going, why asking me for it? Like, go and ask the one of them, and so like, no, I want to come do. And I went, right, and that's when I sort of knew I must be made for this this work. Maybe it's softened the way I come across. I was like, during this program, this was a 6-month program, so throughout the months, as I kept the weeks and the months, the more of it was happening, and I was like, I have to do. I felt like they've given me this, I have to give back. That was in my head, going, they've given me this amazing opportunity, so I'm gonna try and like give back, and that's why I decided I want to do youth work.
The people who you were in that group with became friends.
We became, I would say, every person in that room I became friends with, and I became very friendly. Now, wouldn't say everyone was on the same, like, you would have had like your different groups within the group, if you get what I mean, your subgroups,
sure,
as I would call them, subgroups. But I could see everyone getting on and everyone supporting each other, and it was that support mechanism in that group that really pushed me even further as well. Is the people I didn't think would support me were supportive.
Well, I mean, I understand that, and I've had a similar experience myself. One of the most difficult things about any kind of mental illness, whether it's slight, serious, or lethal, is that isolation. That sense that I am not worthy, that I'm better on my own, who would want to be with me. And so from being locked in your room, or locking yourself in your room, you become part of a group, and friendships are struck. And I think, I mean, that's obviously a key part, I think, of that journey that we talked about. So you're on that road. Yeah. So you're still 25 stone, but you're on that road.
Yes.
And I want to talk about your weight loss only because you inspire people, not because it's any sense of judgmental. Lockdowns kicking in. Were you frightened of lockdown? Were you frightened of having to be back in isolation, or was lockdown a challenge for you, or how did you deal with that?
Lockdown was a big setback, I'll be honest with you, because it brings me right back to them days where maybe it wasn't sense locked in the room, but it was locked in my house, and I was going, oh my god, like, I'm back here, and it was very negative for me. But what actually hurt me the most was I actually did get COVID really bad, and when I turned really ill.
You get everything.
I know.
COVID's with cold.
When I got COVID, that's when I knew my health was still bad, and I actually did. Them 10 days were the worst 10 days I've ever experienced. Once that ended, and I did get through it, did survive it, but I actually did pray every night that it was like, I actually thought it was dying.
I know you had particular problems with your breathing.
Breathing and coughing, and I was going, oh my god, like, my journey might end right now. And
did you really think you were going to die?
Yeah. I remember saying to my mom, I'm scared of dying, and crying. I actually cried. I said, no, I'm afraid of dying. Like, then I knew, right, I've done all these good things. Get over this, you know, I need to get through this. And once I get through that, I was like, I'm going to do something. I'm really going to do something. Now, throughout my years, I've always did have bits where I was trying to lose weight. You know, lots of people experience it where they lose a bit of weight and then they put it all on again, and they don't know, it's maybe the lifestyle that they're not used to. But it was that, I think, this pandemic and being in lockdown had done me, it gave me a good health check. It gave me maybe a kick up the backside to go, Conor, there's wee things that are happening that I know that you don't like, but you're not doing anything about it. And if you don't do anything about it, nothing will change.
Well, it would have been a terrible tragedy.
Yes.
And terrible injustice. That you've escaped from the room, you've made friends, made new friends, you've had COVID, and you've supported COVID, you've got over COVID, and you have the support of your family, and died. It would have been just terrible for everybody, you particularly, but all of us. So I think it's a natural kind of next step. You talked about your and I've read pieces about you making that reference to your weight, 25 stone. Can you remember looking at a scale and going, oh, I'm 25 stone? Can you remember that?
Yeah, I remember buying scales. I remember going on one of the websites and I was like, I knew I had to do it, but I didn't want to because I knew when I got on the scales it wasn't going to be good. So it was like, either way it's going to be negative. Why would you buy something that's negative? And I was going, right, I'm just going to have to do it. So I bought it, and I brought it in, and I kept it in the wrapper, you know, I was like, I don't want to open it. Like, it's like, felt like a present, but you don't want to open it.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm going to go up to the room. My mummy and my sister was like in the room. I didn't want to do it in front of them, you know. I went upstairs and I went in the room and get on the scales and I seen the number. And I actually...
So tell me the number.
It was something like £352.
25 stone.
Yeah.
How the guts off.
Yeah. So it was around about £352. Now I never knew what stone that was until I went on Google, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, I went on Google and then I realised that's what it was, and I was like, that. It was good for me to knew where I was at, and I was like, right, okay, that's where I'm at, right. I have to do something. Like 25 stone isn't good. Like for me, it wasn't good. I knew that my health wasn't good, and I knew I had to do something. So that day I went down, and I didn't really tell my mummy what it was, but she sort of knew by my face. She knew it was. She just knew, you know.
Yeah.
She knew the crack. She was just like, yeah.
But your mother was concerned about your weight anyway.
There was times, yeah, even throughout that, even before lockdown, there was times where she was like, why don't you go for a wee walk? And I was like, nah, not today. No, I always kept putting it off. So I did say to her, Mummy, I'm not very happy, like, and she was like, great, like, Conor, like, I know, like, you don't need to tell me what it is, that's personal, you keep that to you. And I did appreciate that, where Mummy wasn't judging me, or she wasn't whatever the number was. And she's like, so how do you feel now? I says, Mummy, I need to do something. And she's like, why don't you start walking? And I went, right. And that day, even that same day, I didn't wait. You know, way out people will say, I'm going to wait till Monday to do this, or I'm going to...
Yeah.
I says, Mum, I'm going to go out now. She's like, what? And I was like, no, I'm going out now. Now, I knew that it wouldn't be a long walk. I knew that it may only be 20 minutes, and then get sore back, and I'm like, oh, I need to go back. So, got my headphones. One of my things with my social anxiety, I felt like putting the headphones on took me away from everyone and everything, and I was able to focus. So I put my headphones on, got my bottle of water, put my shoes on, closed the door, and walked up a street. By the time I got up the top of that street, out of breath, and I was going, I've only walked the top of my street. You know, it was funny, like, and I rang my voice, says, Mum, I'm tired already. And she was like, where are you? I said, top of the street beside Kashmir. And she was like, are you serious? And like, until she was angry, and I was like almost crying about that. I was like, Mum, oh my God, this is where. She's like, right, try and walk, you know. And I waited for about 10 minutes, you know, because I was out of breath at that stage. I literally walked down to the bottom of the Springfield and around Clonard and up and back, and the sweat. Now, this was a cool day, remember? I had a coat on, but the sweat was down me, and I took my jacket off, and the sweat was pouring out of me, and that's where I knew, right, I actually done, may have not been much, like,
yeah.
But then I felt like, right, there's great energy about me, like there's something here that I can push forward. My mum was like looking at the shirt and all, and I was a big shirt, as you know, but she was like stressing me, going, what were you doing out running? And I says, no, I was just out walking. She says, you were only here for 20 minutes, half an hour. I says, I know. And she couldn't believe the sweat, like the whole way across the thing, and I was like...
But it was quite a brave thing for you to do. I mean, you're overweight. You've already, like most of us who are overweight, you've already had abuse from head cases or people who think they're funny from cars, and there you're out walking. There's an expression which could sum up your story. It's the longest journey starts with the first step. And so that first step, if someone who's watching this program is locked in their room, or they're in their house and they are overweight, maybe a wee bit, maybe a whole lot.
Yeah.
What advice does Conor give to them?
See, everyone's different, you know. I'm a very circumstantial person. Everyone are at different parts of their life. I would say the mindset is the key. It's changing how you think stop thinking negative. And it was actually my granny, like every time I was saying negative, "Now stop that negative stuff, you know I hate that."
Grannies
Stop-
are great.
Yeah.
Grannies are great.
I would say mindset is key. It's changing, and it's hard. It's not like you can go next day, right, and go be super positive. Be realistic, you know, make small little changes, but it has to be up here. It has to be in your mind, and that's where, as I was saying, there was little bits where I was starting maybe to compliment myself in a sense, going, "I'm good." Sometimes you have to value yourself. You have to say, "I'm great," and it's not you being like over the top or you being super confident. Sometimes we need to give ourselves we tap in the back.
Absolutely.
And I feel like doing that, and maybe if you're not feeling good, you know, you're in a situation, still give yourself a tap on the back because you're still here, and you're even thinking about making change. So for me, I would say doing that is give yourself a wee bit of praise, and then you'll gradually go, right, I am good. Then you'll gradually get to the point where, right, let's make a change.
It is reckoned, I don't know how scientific this is, but it is reckoned that one of the principal causes for self-harm with teenagers and suicide with teenagers is weight. Now, I don't know how true that is. I know that figures can mean anything, but weight is one of the very few things, and you're the example of it, where you can make that change. I have to go on and say, because you weighed £100, is that what you lost?
Yeah. So gradually, the weight didn't come off. You know, some people can lose weight very quickly. I just put it down. My metabolism isn't great, so I'm gonna need to take maybe a few years of it. I didn't have an exact date, right? I think I'm gonna lose this amount of weight. Took it day by day, and I wasn't really focusing on the scales at the start. I was just focusing on confidence and a routine. So getting out every day, feeling routine, daily routine, doing things. It was maybe about 2 months in, I started to see a change in my clothes. I started to see like things were a wee bit, you know, loose. I was going, right, I have a wardrobe full here that I don't want to be wearing bigger clothes and it makes me look bigger. So I was going, right, I need to change my wardrobe here. So it was things that got there boosted me a wee bit. Then I was like, right, I need to start getting on the scales. I need to start changing my diet. I was losing weight, but I knew I could do better. I knew diet was a massive thing if I wanted to get slimmer, if I wanted to get down. I knew diet was the key. So I decided, right, I'm going to make more changes. Walking isn't just going to do it for me. I need to change how I'm eating. I need to start drinking more water. I need to create better routines. You know, all these lifestyle changes. But it didn't happen overnight. It was wee small things. So, you know, getting up instead of having, you know, bread, you know, I would have water, changing little things.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to see the weight coming off. Then I was walking even further. So instead of doing half an hour, I was doing an hour. There was days I was doing for 2 hours going around the Falls Park. Then I was able to start doing like wee mini bursts of sprints. Now I wasn't doing them on the roads, I was doing them in Falls Park and parks.
Yeah.
And I was going, right, I'm getting there, like I'm really. And then when after doing that, I met a guy called Mark Rainey, right? So Mark Rainey, he owns a gym up in, do you know where the Right Rock is? Caulfields?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
yeah,
he runs a gym, and I was always keeping contact with him. He had this challenge, and it was during this lockdown. It's more towards the second lockdown. Do you remember it was like 15,000 steps a day, and I was like, I can do that.
15,000 steps
For 40 days. So it was like you do it for 40 days, or for the full month. I think was that it was one of them. I think it was 40 days, 40-day challenge. But every day you do 15,000 steps, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And I messaged him and he said, sign me up, like I'm doing this. And he was like, well, I fully believe in you. And I was like, no, I'm doing this. And I had this in my head, I'm going to do it every single day, and I'm going to be at the top of that leaderboard. Like I had that willpower, and I was like, I'm going to go out every day. If it's going to rain, if it's going to snow, I'm going out. And he's like, right, every day I have my phone steps. There was days I was doing 20,000. There was actually one day I actually done 35,000 steps. For me was
for anyone.
Imagine doing like that first day where I walked top of the street and Quentin was out of breath. Doing 35,000 steps and absolutely smashing 10 times. I actually exceeded more than my expectations. In my head, I was going, why have I just done complete all these goals? I never thought it was possible.
Youth work I want to talk to you a wee bit about youth work. So you're a fitness fanatic. You're out of the room. You're in love with yourself, which is fine. That's okay. You have made friends. You're part of the project, and now you're part of youth work.
Yeah.
Why? What was the attraction? You said at the beginning about giving stuff back. Was that part of that thinking?
It was part of it, but I felt it was part of my life now. It was part of my journey. It was part of my journey. So that's when I decided I'm going to continue this, and I felt like it would keep me motivated with my weight loss, because doing residentials and doing like wee trips and things like that there, it would have been a little bit extra, you know, and it would keep me motivated. And there was a lot of young people I spoke to. They always like, oh, Conor, I see the difference in you now. Like, remember this year you didn't do the water sports, and then the next year you were in a wetsuit and you were out, you were jumping, you were going crazy, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah. So little things. I felt like it was in this job, this career was made for me, but it also only with my journey and with my weight loss. I felt like I'll never leave this. Like, I felt like this youth work has been the reason why I've made change. Them youth workers give me something. Now I want to give that back to the young people of my community, and not just my community, other communities. I've done loads of cross community work, and that's what my current aims are now, is that young people have these issues as well. They have all these different things.
Absolutely.
And the confidence, especially in males and you know, females, a lot of confidence issues, and I think I'm the best person for them because I suffered that. I've been there, and I feel like I'm a good, I wouldn't say a role model, I would say I'm a good maybe vision board for them. I'm a good person to be able to help them with their current goals, and I feel like that my journey speaks for itself, and I'll give them that wee bit of a...
Your journey isn't quite over, because I want to ask you a last question,
Yeah.
which is as important as the first question.
Yeah.
So all these doors begin to become unlocked by you, not for you, by the way, by you. You're unlocking the doors as you go along. And I asked you very deliberately about your secondary school experience, and it wasn't good. And it was worse than you said it was, but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And quite recently, a foolish politician talked about too many Catholics becoming educated, as if this was a problem. And I mean, anybody with any sense knows that that's a bizarre idea. But you're studying, you reinvented, or you rediscovered the ability to study. So tell us where that journey is now.
Well, right now I'm actually on to my third year in...
The third year where?
So I'm doing the community youth work degree in Ulster University. I'll be honest with you, I never thought I'd be the person to go and do further education. Never thought I was capable, and that was just down to my own maybe negative. As I said there, I was always negative going. Even in school, I'd done okay in school with GCSEs, but I never had that, you know, that drive for it. But it was when I got into youth work and I started doing more educational things and research, and I was going, oh, I like that wee thing. And when I was doing more group work stuff, then I started to speak to people who were doing a degree, and they were like, Conor, you'd be brilliant. Like, you know, when you work with other people and they're like, Conor, you should apply for it. And one day I just went, I'm just going to apply for it. So I applied for it, and I went for the interview. And I had my head, I was told it's a very hard course to get into because so many applied for it, and there's only so many, you know, places. And I remember doing the interview and speaking, and I did speak openly. I tried to be as honest with them as well, and it was more youth work, but just talking about my whole journey, and I could tell they were very inspired.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I got on the course. You know, I did get my place, and I remember getting the letter, and it was like, oh my god, class. Like, I never felt like so positive and so good about myself that I had been given this opportunity. And I feel young people especially, do not let anyone tell you can't do it. Don't doubt yourself. Like, if you see something, go for it. Absolutely go for it. And that's what I would say to young people. And as you were saying about that stat, I feel like everyone should go, like everyone should push for it. Please do it. Like, and don't let these reports put you off, or because let's be honest, a lot of these reports are, you know, they are. I'll be honest with you, they're just these stories, and don't listen to the media. Just go for it.
I'm going to ask you the most difficult question, and it's the last question.
Yeah.
So out there in the world that we live in, irrespective of what part of our city it is, there's a young man or a young woman who's locked in their room and living a life through the curtains and living a life maybe, through whatever, but secretly wants to be a Conor. What advice do you give to them?
What advice would I give them? As I said about the mindset, but I think what helped me was be realistic with yourself. So what I mean by that is, don't be doing too much when you feel, if it feels overwhelming, don't do it, because then you're going to set yourself back and you're going to be back to square one. For me, I start off, as I said, baby steps, wee small things. I was getting involved in the programme. You can see these wee things built me up for this. So I would say do small things. In your head, don't go, I'm going to do 5 miles a day, when you probably won't. And set yourself realistic goals and small goals. But when you create them small goals, lead to bigger goals, and then them goals lead to bigger things. So that's why so them goals of losing the weight and then getting to university. Then when I complete university, it's going to lead me up. So I would say small goals, be realistic, and everyone's different. Just because I do 5 mile and you do half a mile doesn't mean we're different. I'm better than you. We're all the same. You still done a half a mile while maybe somebody's sitting on the sofa doing nothing. So I would say something is better. Doing something is better than nothing. And that's the advice I would give to people, and give yourself praise. And I was always coming in every day after feeling rough and feeling tired. Even though I was tired, my legs were sore, my arms were sore, it was a nice sore. I never felt this sore before. Them pains that you get are when you're feeling unmotivated or you're feeling tired. That tired will motivate you, and I promise it will. That tiredness, you'll want that tiredness. That's the way I felt like, right, I feel tired today, right, I've done. That's when you know you're doing well. Seeing you're feeling tired and you're feeling sweaty or you're feeling exhausted, that's good. I think that's good, good energy. That's what I would say. That's the face I would give.
Conor, thank you for sharing that journey. I know it hasn't finished. I know you're still on it, and I know you're bringing other people on the journey with you.
Yeah.
Young people, as I said when we began, can be blamed for everything. Sometimes it's always their fault, according to others. But you're a hero, and you're a hero for young people. So from Scéalta to Conor, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.